Okay, get ready to have your minds blown today, because we are diving deep into a world that's stranger than fiction. It's bizarre, it's captivating, and it's all about the wild ways organisms reproduce.
Yeah, forget everything you thought you knew about the birds and the bees, because we're
Right.
about to uncover some seriously mind-boggling reproductive strategies. It really makes you step back and look at the bigger picture, when you think about this primal urge to reproduce.
Yeah,
It's all about the survival of the species. But evolution has some pretty crazy ways of achieving that goal. Nature definitely has a flair for the dramatic.
it's true. We found some really interesting articles about this.
Oh, yeah.
We've got like 10 weird ways organisms reproduce from How Stuff Works, a good one from the Nature Conservancy Canada blog, and then top 10 animals with the most unusual mating tactics from One Kind Planet.
Wow, so get ready for some serious aha moments.
Right.
We're talking about creatures that can literally change their sex, or others that have figured out how to, well, make babies without even needing a partner.
I don't know how they top some of the stuff we talked about last week, but let's get into it. Speaking of not needing a partner,
Right.
virgin births, like actual virgin births.
It sounds crazy,
yeah.
but it's a real thing.
So we're talking about females having offspring without any male involvement whatsoever.
Exactly.
How is that even possible?
Well, it's called parthenogenesis. Parthenogenesis. And believe it or not, it's actually more common in the animal kingdom than you might think.
Really? I had no idea.
Yeah. And a great example of this, the Komodo dragon.
Komodo dragons,
Yeah.
those giant, fierce lizards, they can have virgin births.
They can reproduce sexually as well, the traditional way.
Right.
But sometimes the females just take matters into their own hands, well, their ovaries, to be precise.
Oh, wow. So how does it actually work? Break it down for us.
Okay, so typically in sexual reproduction, an egg cell from the female needs a sperm cell from the male, right? It's all about combining that genetic material to create a viable offspring.
Right. Makes sense.
But with parthenogenesis, the female's egg cell's like, nope, I'm good. And it just develops into an embryo without any fertilization from a sperm cell.
Wait, so it just bypasses that whole process?
Exactly.
That's incredible. I mean, a female Komodo dragon's egg just basically says, I got this, and it's off to the races.
Pretty much. And what's fascinating is that while for some species, it's like a backup plan if they can't find a mate, for Komodo dragons, it's just another option in their reproductive arsenal.
So I have to ask, what's the evolutionary advantage of that? Why would a species develop this ability if they can also reproduce sexually?
That's a great question, and it's something that scientists are still trying to fully understand, but it seems likely that it's all about adaptation and survival, especially in environments where finding a mate might be challenging.
So if like you're a Komodo dragon on a small island with limited potential mates, being able to reproduce without a partner could be a real advantage.
Exactly.
It's like having a built-in insurance policy for your genes.
That's a great way to put it. It's a testament to the ingenuity of nature, that's for sure.
Speaking of ingenuity, are you ready for a real head spinner? We're going from virgin births to creatures that can literally switch their sex. Clownfish.
Clownfish.
Yes. And this whole phenomenon is known as hermaphroditism.
Ah, yes, clownfish. You know those brightly colored fish that live in anemones on coral reefs?
Right.
They're a prime example of what's called sequential hermaphroditism, meaning they can actually change their sex during their lifetime, depending on, social or environmental cues.
Hold on. So Nemo, from Finding Nemo, he could potentially change sex.
He could. There's a whole lot more to his story than meets the eye.
I knew there had to be more to that fish.
Hey.
Okay, so how does this whole sex-changing thing work in a clownfish colony?
Okay, so picture this. You've got a group of clownfish living in an anemone, right? The largest, most aggressive fish in the group is the female. She's the queen bee, so to speak.
Okay.
The next in line is the dominant male. And these two, they have a very exclusive breeding arrangement. But here's where it gets really interesting. If for some reason that female dies, the dominant male, he doesn't just mourn, he steps up in a big way.
What do you mean?
He literally transforms, and I mean this quite literally. He transitions from male to female.
Wait a minute. He becomes the new female.
Yep. Not just in behavior either. Physiologically, he develops ovaries and begins producing eggs instead of sperm.
No way.
Way.
Hold on. How is that even possible?
It all comes down to hormones and the amazing adaptability of certain organisms. You see, in clownfish, the loss of the female's hormones triggers this whole cascade of changes in the dominant male, and boom, he's on his way to becoming the new leading lady of the anemone.
That is wild. It's like something out of a science fiction movie. What's the evolutionary reason for this?
Well, it ensures the survival of the group because it means they can always maintain a breeding pair.
It really makes you wonder if we humans have something to learn from clownfish about, adaptability and resilience.
It really is amazing, isn't it? The things these creatures have evolved to do to make sure their lineage continues. Like, talk about the power of natural selection.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It makes you realize that evolution, it's not really about being perfect, is it?
No, not at all.
It's about finding a way to survive and reproduce no matter what. Like even if it means changing your sex or having a virgin birth.
Exactly. Whatever works, right?
Speaking of unconventional ways to reproduce,
Yeah.
let's move from the coral reefs to the forest floor. Because even plants have some pretty wild strategies for ensuring their survival.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
We'll take the Japanese climbing fern, for example. Did you know that they can actually control the sex ratio of their offspring?
Wait, what? The ferns can decide whether to have boys or girls? How is that even possible?
It's actually a really fascinating chemical strategy that they've evolved. It all comes down to this hormone called gibberellin.
Gibberellin.
Yeah, it's a plant hormone that influences growth and development. And in the case of these ferns, it seems to play a key role in determining the sex of the offspring.
Okay, but how does it work?
Well, basically, the older female ferns, they release gibberellin into their surroundings. And this acts as like a signal to younger ferns that are developing nearby.
So it's like they're sending out a message.
Exactly. And the message is, we need more males in this fern family.
So the gibberellin basically encourages these younger ferns to develop as males rather than females.
That's exactly it. It's like a form of chemical manipulation to ensure a healthy balance of males and females in the population.
Wow, that's incredible. And kind of sneaky, don't you think? Those ferns are playing the long game.
I know, right?
Ah.
It just goes to show you that even the plant world is full of surprises and secrets.
Yeah.
But okay, so we've talked about creatures that reproduce without a partner and others that can switch sexes. But this is a show about the weirdest reproductive strategies, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And it doesn't get much weirder than what we're about to talk about next.
Okay, bring it on. What's next on our journey into the bizarre world of reproduction?
Get ready for some drama. Because we're about to enter a world where love and death, well, they get a little too close for comfort.
Oh, this sounds ominous.
It is. We're talking about the infamous mating rituals of the praying mantis.
The praying mantis. What's so weird about them? I mean, they look pretty harmless.
Oh, they're definitely not harmless. Especially if you're a male praying mantis looking for love. Let's just say, things can get a little messy.
Okay, now you've got to give me more. What are we talking about here?
Well, have you ever heard of sexual cannibalism?
Sexual cannibalism?
Yeah, it's exactly what it sounds like. And the female praying mantis, she's kind of famous for it.
You're kidding, right? She eats her mate.
Sometimes, yep. During or even after mating, she'll just turn on her partner and devour him.
Oh my gosh. Why? Why would she do that?
Again, it's all about survival of the fittest, but in a very macabre way. See, the female praying mantis, she needs a lot of energy to produce and lay her eggs.
Right.
And what better way to get that energy than by consuming her mate?
So it's like a gruesome form of nutritional supplement.
Exactly.
Wow, that's brutal.
It really is. But hey, if you think that's wild, wait till you hear about this next creature, which takes parasitic manipulation to a whole new level. Oh no, there's more.
Oh yeah, this is going to blow your mind. We're talking about a parasitic wasp, right? It's called Hymenopimyces argyrophaga.
Hymenopimyces what?
Don't worry about the name. It's a mouthful, I know. Just know that this little wasp has a truly twisted way of ensuring its offspring survival.
Okay, I'm intrigued. It's slightly terrified. Tell me more. What does this wasp do?
So picture this wasp. It targets a very specific type of spider, an orb-weaving spider to be exact, and it swoops down on this spider and paralyzes it with a sting. And while that spider is just frozen there, the wasp lays an egg and attaches it to the spider's abdomen.
Oh, that's just awful. So wait, the spider eventually wakes up, right?
Yeah, the wasp flies off, and eventually the spider comes to, completely unaware of the little parasite hitching a ride.
Ugh, that's like something out of a horror movie.
It gets worse. When that wasp egg hatches, the larva burrows into the spider's body.
No.
Oh yeah, and it starts feeding off of the spider, slowly but surely growing bigger and stronger. But here's the really messed up part. The larva, it starts releasing these chemicals, They actually hijack the spider's brain.
You've got to be kidding me. It messes with the spider's mind?
Big time. It basically brainwashes that spider, forcing it to change how it spins its web.
This is insane. So instead of building a normal web, what does it, like, spin some kind of wasp-themed web?
Kind of, it creates this smaller web, but it's super strong and durable.
Uh-huh.
And it's the perfect design to protect a wasp cocoon.
This is giving me the chills.
The larva basically turns that spider into its own little zombie architect.
That's both incredible and terrifying at the same time.
I know, right? But wait, there's one more thing. Once the web is finished, the larva kills the spider and uses its carcass, yep, you heard that right, to help build its cocoon. It then hangs that cocoon right in the middle of that specialized web, safe and sound.
I'm never looking at a spider web the same way again. Okay, I need a minute to process all of this. We've gone from virgin births to gender-bending fish to spiders being turned into zombie architects by parasitic wasps. Nature is truly stranger than fiction.
It sure is. And I know it can seem pretty gruesome, but it really does highlight how far evolution will go to ensure the survival of a species.
No, you're right. It's incredible. These creatures have developed such fascinating, albeit sometimes unsettling, strategies for, well, making more of themselves. It's a constant arms race out there in nature.
That's one way to put it.
But thankfully, it's not all about violence and manipulation, right? There's still room for a little romance in the animal kingdom, isn't there?
Of course. In fact, some of the most amazing animal behaviors involve these really elaborate courtship rituals.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Let's end this on a slightly lighter note. What are some examples of that?
Well, what's the first thing that comes to mind when you think of romantic gestures in the animal kingdom?
Honestly, flowers. But I'm pretty sure you're going to tell me that animals don't actually give each other flowers.
Well, not most of them, but some get pretty close. Take the male bowerbird, for instance.
The bowerbird.
Yeah. This bird actually builds these elaborate nests called bowers and then decorates them with all sorts of colorful objects.
Oh yeah, I've heard about this. They use like flowers, feathers, even shiny bits of trash sometimes, right?
Yep, that's right. They're like little artists trying to impress a potential mate. And honestly, it's not that different from what we humans do, right? We give gifts, we dress up, we try to stand out from the crowd.
Okay, that's a good point.
And it's not just about looks either. For the bowerbird, the quality and arrangement of the decorations can actually signal their fitness and genetic potential.
It's like saying, look at this amazing bower I built. I'm clearly a high-quality mate.
Exactly. It's all about survival of the fittest, even in the art world.
So, if bowerbirds are the artists, who are the architects of the animal kingdom?
Oh, that's a good one. You know, we talked about those underwater architects earlier.
Oh.
The pufferfish.
Wait a minute, the pufferfish?
Yeah.
The ones that puff themselves up into a ball when they feel threatened? What do they build?
Well, get ready to be amazed because these little guys, they actually create these incredibly intricate circular patterns on the seabed.
No way. Those perfectly symmetrical circles I've seen in nature documentaries, those are made by pufferfish.
The one and only. And get this, they do it all with just their fins and body movements. They spend days, sometimes even weeks, meticulously crafting these amazing sand structures, all to attract a female.
It's like an underwater sandcastle competition. They're putting us humans to shame. That's incredible.
Right. It just shows how much beauty and complexity exists in the natural world, even in the most unexpected places. And it makes you realize we still have so much to learn about the creatures we share this planet with.
It's been quite a journey. We started this deep dive talking about some seriously strange ways organisms make more of themselves, and honestly, I'm even more amazed by nature now than I was before, which I didn't think was possible.
I hear that. And don't forget, we've only just scratched the surface. There are countless other strange and wonderful reproductive strategies out there just waiting to be discovered. It makes you wonder, what else is nature hiding up its sleeve?
That's a question for another deep dive. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's been an absolute pleasure.
The pleasure was all mine. Until next time.
And to all our listeners, don't forget to check out our show notes for more information about all the creatures we talked about today. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to reach out to us on social media. We love hearing from you. Until next time, keep those brains curious and stay strange, world.